Beloved chosen one, when God speaks, the world must listen or face the consequences of turning a deaf ear. You, handpicked by the Creator, know this truth better than anyone. There is a limit to divine patience, and when it is crossed, justice unfolds with unmistakable clarity. Entire empires have crumbled because they ignored the whispers of heaven. This is not just a tale of history, it is a powerful reminder that God's timing is perfect, His justice inescapable. Before we journey deeper into this profound revelation, let me pause to thank each of you who have supported this mission through Super Thanks. Your faith-filled generosity uplifts this message and strengthens the mission of sharing God's truth. May God return your kindness in overflowing blessings, for every gift you give reflects your trust in His plan and your alignment with His purpose. Now, let me ask you this. What does it feel like to carry the mantle of being one of God's chosen ones? To walk in His favor while enduring the doubts and mockery of others? Picture this, your enemies, defiant and unrepentant, thinking they've evaded God's reach. They scoffed at His warnings, but now the moment of reckoning has arrived. Suddenly their laughter fades, replaced by the weight of divine judgment. A sickness so precise, so undeniable, leaves no doubt that it comes from the hand of God. This moment of truth is here. Comment 999 below to declare your faith and affirm your calling as God's chosen. Stay with us as we unravel this powerful story of justice and protection. You are not just a spectator, you are the living proof of God's promise, and this journey is far from over. Let's dive into what this means for you and the world around you. God's chosen one, your enemies didn't listen. God has lost patience and sent them a sickness. Number 1. The divine contract is finalized. Beloved chosen one, you are not here by chance. From the moment God said, "Let there be light," your destiny was written into the divine plan, a sacred blueprint crafted before time began. Every challenge you face, every victory you claim, has been foreseen, just as the downfall of those who oppose you has been inevitable. This is not random. It is the unfolding of a divine story in which you play a central role. Have you ever pondered why justice sometimes seems delayed? Why God appears silent while your enemies mock and scheme? Reflect on the story of Pharaoh in Exodus. God didn't immediately strike Egypt with judgment. Instead, He sent Moses with repeated warnings. Each warning was a chance for Pharaoh to turn back, yet his arrogance hardened his heart. He mistook God's patience for weakness and pushed beyond the boundaries of mercy. In the end, Pharaoh's defiance led to Egypt's ruin, and God's power was revealed for all to see. The same pattern unfolds now. The enemies of the chosen one have been given countless opportunities to change. Every moment of grace extended to them was an act of mercy, a chance to escape the coming consequences. But instead of repentance, they chose rebellion. Their arrogance blinded them, much like Pharaoh, leading them to believe they were untouchable. Can you see how their choices mirrored the mistakes of the past? It's crucial to understand that God's silence is never absence, it's strategy. While your enemies mocked and plotted, He observed and waited, giving them space to recognize their folly. But like those before them, they squandered the opportunity. They misunderstood mercy as infinite, not realizing that it was both a gift and a test. Every act of mockery and defiance was another step toward their own judgment. As you think about this, reflect on the words of Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. The season of waiting is over. Justice has arrived. The judgment unfolding now is deliberate, precise, and aligned with God's promises. Remember the unshakable truth from Galatians 6:7. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Those who mocked you, who plotted against you, are now experiencing the weight of their rebellion, a sickness so targeted that it reveals the hand of the divine at work. Consider the story of Haman in the book of Esther. Haman's arrogance led him to construct gallows for the destruction of God's people, but in the end, he was hung on the very gallows he built. History has always shown that the plans of the wicked are often their own undoing. How many of your enemies thought they could escape accountability only to find themselves caught in the traps they laid? What does this make you feel, knowing that God is both your protector and the ultimate arbiter of justice? Now, the divine contract is complete. There is no more room for negotiations or pleas. The time for mercy has passed, and the consequences of rebellion are unavoidable. You, the chosen one, have stepped into your rightful position, protected, elevated, and vindicated by the hand of the Almighty. Meanwhile, those who opposed you are left to face the reality of their decisions. How does it feel to finally see justice unfolding before your very eyes? This isn't mere retribution. It is the manifestation of justice, the fulfillment of a story that they themselves authored with their actions. And you, standing firm in your calling, are living proof of God's unwavering promises. Can you see how God's timing is perfect, even when it feels delayed? Take a moment to reflect on what it means to be part of this divine plan. Every step you take is guided by a higher purpose. Every victory you experience is a testament to the power of God working in your life. The divine contract is finalized and your story continues, unfolding in triumph and victory. Stay vigilant, for there is more to come, and your role is far from over. Share your thoughts below, and let the world see the testimony of the chosen one. Number 2, the sickness mirrors their deeds. Chosen. 1. The sickness that has befallen your enemies is no accident. It is not random, nor is it a mere coincidence of fate. This affliction is a precise and divine reflection of their own deeds, a mirror held up to their actions, showing the truth they sought to bury. They planted the seeds of malice, deceit, and harm, and now the harvest has come. Do you recognize how their own actions have become the instrument of their downfall? The consequences of their rebellion have woven themselves into their lives, and the sickness is the thread unraveling the fabric of their misdeeds. Consider the principle laid out in Job 4:8. As I have observed, those who plow evil and those who sow trouble reap it. This is not merely punishment, it's the embodiment of their actions returning to them in a form they cannot escape. The harm they inflicted on others, on you, the chosen one, has come back upon them, multiplied and unavoidable. Just as they sowed cruelty and deceit, now they must reap the bitter fruits of their labor. Does it bring you peace to know that God's justice ensures every wrong is accounted for? This sickness is more than physical. It operates on multiple levels, gripping them mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. It confuses them, isolates them, and leaves them searching for answers that will not come. To those watching from the outside, it may seem like their bodies are simply failing. Have you noticed how their confusion mirrors the chaos they created in others' lives? But the truth is far deeper. The illness isn't confined to their flesh. It resides in their spirit. It's the rot they allowed to fester within their hearts, now spilling outward for all to see. Remember the story of King Saul in 1 Samuel 16:14-23. When Saul turned away from God and allowed jealousy, anger, and rebellion to consume him, he was afflicted by an evil spirit that tormented him relentlessly. His actions, his disobedience and envy opened the door to his suffering. Like Saul, your enemies are now living with the torment they brought upon themselves. Can you see how their choices, like Saul's, have led them to this point of self-destruction? Their lies, betrayal, and cruelty have become their constant companions, manifesting in ways that even science cannot explain. What is most striking is how specific this affliction is. It's not a vague or generalized punishment. It aligns perfectly with the harm they caused. For those who spread fear, paranoia now consumes them. For those who inflicted pain, they now feel it inescapably. Each symptom is like a mirror held up to their soul, forcing them to see the truth they've long denied. How does it feel to witness such precise justice unfold, knowing God's hand is guiding it all? This is divine justice in its most surgical form, a reckoning so thorough that no denial or arrogance can shield them now. Consider the chilling words of Proverbs 26:27. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. They are living the reality of this truth. Doesn't it confirm that no plan against God's chosen can ever prosper? The very traps they set for others have ensnared them, and the sickness has become their reckoning. And yet, even as they suffer, many resist. They refuse to acknowledge their part in their downfall, clinging to their pride and blaming others. But the longer they resist, the deeper the sickness takes root. Have you noticed how their refusal to take responsibility only worsens their situation? Each moment of denial strengthens the grip of their affliction. They are left to confront the legacy of their choices, staring into the consequences of the lives they've built. As you watch this unfold, chosen one, reflect on the power of divine justice. The sickness isn't just a warning, it's a reckoning uniquely tailored for them. Every symptom is a reminder that God's justice is not only precise, but unyielding. Does this reaffirm your faith, knowing that God's justice is always on time and never misses its mark? Let this strengthen your faith, for you are witnessing the fulfillment of promises that were made long before you were born. The truth is undeniable. No one escapes the hand of the Almighty, and every deed is accounted for. Number 3, the shift is no longer hidden. Beloved chosen one, you've felt it, haven't you? That quiet stirring in your spirit, the undeniable sense that something monumental was coming. This wasn't just a fleeting feeling. It was a profound assurance placed within you, a divine whisper urging you to prepare. Like Noah in Genesis 6, who faithfully built the ark despite the mockery of others, you trusted in what was unseen. You carried the weight of this knowledge in your heart, knowing that the shift was inevitable, even when others dismissed it as impossible. For your enemies, however, the shift was invisible. They carried on arrogantly, blind to the storm quietly building against them. Can you imagine their pride, their misplaced confidence, as they mocked you, believing their plans were unshakable? They scoffed at your faith and your resilience, just as the people in Noah's time ridiculed his obedience. But now, just as the floodwaters rose and silenced Noah's doubters, the storm against your enemies has become undeniable. Their arrogance blinded them, and now they stand exposed before the power of the divine. This shift is no longer hidden. It has broken into the physical world, undeniable and unstoppable. Do you feel the power of this moment, as everything you sensed in your spirit is now becoming visible? What began as a spiritual awakening has transformed into a tangible reality. Like Joseph in Genesis 41, who rose from the depths of a prison to the heights of Pharaoh's court, you are now being elevated to places your enemies never imagined for you. Just as Joseph's brothers watched him ascend to a position of authority, those who once dismissed and betrayed you are now witnessing your rise, unable to deny the hand of God in your life. This isn't just about receiving blessings, it's about stepping into visibility. Have you noticed how the light around you has grown brighter, drawing attention in ways you never expected. You, once mocked and underestimated, are now walking in a radiance that cannot be ignored. The words of Isaiah 61 ring true for you. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Your elevation isn't just for you. It's a testimony to the power of God working through you, a beacon for others to see and believe. The shift is deliberate, a divine unveiling that reveals everything hidden. Do you see how the facades of your enemies are crumbling before your very eyes? Those who once hid behind lies, manipulation, and pride are being revealed for who they truly are. Their carefully constructed images are collapsing, and the sickness that grips them isn't just judgment, it's a spotlight exposing their deeds. Like Haman in Esther 7, who fell into the trap he had set for Mordecai, your enemies are now ensnared by their own actions, powerless to escape the consequences. Your enemies are scrambling, desperately trying to hold on to power that has already slipped through their fingers. Do you feel the justice in this moment as their illusions fade and the reality of divine truth takes hold? The shift is the great equalizer, stripping away pretense and leaving no room for deception. What was once hidden is now fully revealed, and there is no turning back. And for you, beloved chosen one, this is your moment to step into the purpose for which you were created. The light is shining on you now, illuminating your path, vindicating your faith, and fulfilling the promises you have held on to. Like David in 1 Samuel 17, who stood boldly before Goliath while others doubted, you are walking into your destiny with confidence, knowing the divine has already secured your victory. This is the time you've been prepared for, the moment when all that was unseen comes to light. The shift has come, and the truth has been unveiled. Are you ready to embrace this chapter fully, stepping boldly into the role God has called you to, knowing that the victory is already yours? The world is watching, and your rise is proof that the divine plan always prevails. Number 4, the grace period is over. Chosen one, you've waited patiently through the silence, through the trials, and through the mocking of those who thought they could act without consequence. How many times did you wonder why God seemed to delay justice, even as your enemies' wickedness grew unchecked? For too long they moved with arrogance, thriving in the false belief that their actions carried no weight, that they were untouchable. They misinterpreted God's silence as indifference, His patience as weakness, and His mercy as an endless guarantee of tolerance. But you knew better. Deep within your spirit, you understood that the silence was not absence, but preparation. Like the people described in 2 Peter 3:9, who mocked the delay of judgment, your enemies failed to comprehend that the Lord is not slow in keeping His promise. He is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance. Every delay in judgment was an act of divine mercy, an opportunity for them to turn back from their wickedness. Yet they exploited these moments, doubling down on their defiance and tightening their grip on you, convinced that the reckoning would never come. They failed to see the truth. Divine grace is not a free pass. It was always an invitation to repent, a chance to change their course. How many warnings did they ignore, believing there would always be more time? How many signs did they mock, thinking they could continue to manipulate and harm without consequence? Like Pharaoh in Exodus 7-12, who hardened his heart with each plague, they saw God's patience as permission, not realizing that every act of mercy was a test, a chance to choose repentance before it was too late. Now, beloved chosen one, that time has ended. The grace period is over. Do you feel the gravity of this moment, where mercy has stepped aside and divine justice has taken its rightful place? God's patience is not limitless. It is intentional, deliberate, and deeply connected to his justice. And now, that patience has run out. The expiration of grace is a terrifying thing, a moment when the full weight of divine justice comes crashing down. The enemies who relied on mercy to shield them now face the truth they tried so hard to avoid. God's kindness was not permission. It was a test, and it's a test they failed. This reckoning isn't about vengeance. It's about balance. It's about restoring what was taken and ensuring that no wrong goes unaccounted for. Do you see how God's justice is perfect, measured, and unrelenting in its pursuit of righteousness? As Ecclesiastes 3:17 reminds us, God will bring into judgment both the righteous and the wicked, for there will be a time for every activity, a time to judge every deed. The mercy they took for granted has been withdrawn, and every cruel word, every deceitful act, and every harmful intention is now being met with divine recompense. The illusion of impunity they lived under has shattered. The consequences they believed they could escape have now caught up with them. Can you feel the power in this moment, knowing that no act of harm against you has gone unnoticed? Like Haman in Esther 7:9-10, who was executed on the very gallows he built for Mordecai, your enemies now face the ultimate reversal. The judgment they dismissed as impossible is now unfolding with precision, and there is no escaping its reach. And you, chosen one, are finally vindicated. You endured their mockery, their deceit, and their relentless attempts to break your spirit. Yet, through it all, you remained steadfast. You held on to your faith and trusted in God's timing, even when the weight felt unbearable. And now, the tables have turned. This is the moment you've been waiting for, the moment when God's promises are fulfilled before your eyes. He is slow to anger, but abounding in justice. His timing is perfect, and his justice is relentless. Do you feel the weight of this truth, knowing that the scales have been balanced in your favor? Judgment has arrived and the grace period is over. Now, it is your time to rise. Step confidently into your rightful place, knowing that your elevation is not a product of chance, but of divine design. The trials that once weighed you down have become the stepping stones for your triumph. You are no longer standing in the shadows of their oppression. You are walking boldly in the light of divine justice. Beloved chosen one, let this moment remind you that God's justice is always perfect. Though it may seem delayed to human eyes, it is always on time. The reckoning is here, the scales are balanced, and you are vindicated. Your perseverance, your obedience, and your unwavering faith have brought you to this place. This is your season of triumph. Rise and embrace the purpose you were always meant to fulfill. Number 5. A spiritual quarantine has begun. Beloved chosen one, look around and see how the influence of those who once sought to harm you is shrinking, as if an unseen hand is holding them back. This is no accident. The sickness afflicting your enemies is not just physical. It's deeply spiritual, severing them from the sources of power and control they once relied on. What you're witnessing is a spiritual quarantine, a deliberate act of divine authority designed to contain the harm they've caused and protect you. Just as God placed a hedge of protection around Job in Job 1:10, He has placed a barrier around you, ensuring that no harm from your enemies can reach you. For so long, they thrived on chaos, manipulation, and control, spreading their toxicity like a virus. But now, their reach is shrinking with every passing moment. Can you feel the shift as their methods of oppression unravel before their eyes? The connections they once used to dominate, deceive, and oppress are crumbling. Much like the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11:1-9, where God scattered the plans of the prideful by confusing their language, your enemies are experiencing a similar dismantling. Those who once followed them are pulling away, instinctively repelled by the sickness that now defines them. This spiritual quarantine is no random event. It is a calculated move by God to protect you and those around you from further harm. Does it bring you peace to know that God has drawn a line your enemies cannot cross? Their influence is being stripped away. Their words have lost their weight, and their attempts to rebuild their power are met with inexplicable failure. Just as Pharaoh's magicians in Exodus 8:18-19 failed to replicate the miracles of God, your enemies are now realizing that their usual tactics no longer hold power. What's striking about this isolation is how comprehensive it is. They feel abandoned, misunderstood, and trapped, unable to regain the control they once wielded. But this isn't rejection by the world, it is a divine confinement. Can you see how God's hand is at work, confining their toxic influence to protect you? Their tools of control now lie broken in their hands, and their power has been stripped away. This mirrors the experience of King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel 4, who was humbled and isolated by God until he acknowledged the sovereignty of the Almighty. This quarantine isn't just punishment, it's protection. Does it comfort you to know that God is providing you with space to heal and thrive, free from interference? By limiting your enemy's reach, God is giving you the opportunity to grow into the fullness of your calling without the shadow of their influence. Meanwhile, your enemies are left to face the consequences of their actions, confined to the chaos they created. This is a stark reminder of what happens when divine patience runs out. For you, beloved chosen one, this is a time of restoration and freedom. God's hand is shielding you, and his protection surrounds you on all sides. As Psalm 91:7 declares, 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You are standing under his divine covering, safe from the harm that once threatened you. This is your season to step boldly into healing and growth, knowing that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Are you ready to embrace this season of freedom and restoration, confident that God has placed a divine barrier to protect and elevate you? Number 6. Unseen. Forces are at work. Beloved chosen. 1. What is unfolding in your life right now is far greater than what the eye can see. The judgment falling upon your enemies is not merely the visible hand of God, it is the coordinated effort of unseen forces working with unmatched precision. These heavenly agents of justice, who have long waited in silence, are now unleashed to fulfill their divine mission on your behalf. They are the fulfillment of Psalm 91:11, which promises, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." For so long these angels stood watch, observing as your enemies built fortresses of deceit, wielding their tools of oppression against you. They remained silent, holding back until the exact moment appointed by God. Now, they are tearing apart those fortresses piece by piece, with a power that is both awe-inspiring and unstoppable. The foundations of lies and manipulation that your enemies relied upon are crumbling under the weight of divine intervention. Do you feel the reassurance that comes from knowing God's justice is moving for you, dismantling every barrier meant to harm you? This dismantling is not chaotic, it is strategic. The structures of control that once seemed impenetrable are falling apart, leaving your enemies scrambling for stability. Like the angel of the Lord in 2 Kings 19:35, who brought down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in a single night, these unseen forces know exactly where to strike, ensuring that no enemy is beyond God's reach. Have you noticed how those who once appeared invincible now stumble, their positions unraveling beneath them? Even those who stood by your enemies as allies are now being pulled away. Those who once lent their support are seeing the truth, withdrawing their resources, influence, and loyalty. What they built in arrogance is being undone with breathtaking swiftness, much like the enemies of Nehemiah in Nehemiah 4, whose plots to stop God's work were thwarted as the divine hand protected his people. Does it strengthen your faith to see how their alliances crumble while you stand protected? What's most remarkable is the nature of this justice. It is silent, yet devastatingly effective. These angels of justice do not announce their presence with fanfare, yet their actions speak volumes. They dismantle systems, relationships, and power structures in ways that seem inexplicable to human understanding. Your enemies are left in frustration, realizing they cannot fight back against forces they cannot see or comprehend. Just as Pharaoh's magicians in Exodus 8:18-19 admitted their inability to replicate God's miracles, your enemies are discovering that their schemes hold no power against divine intervention. The most terrifying reality for your enemies is their total inability to stop what's happening. Their fortresses, built on manipulation and lies, are collapsing before their eyes. Does it bring you comfort to know that nothing can stand against the justice of God when it is unleashed? These unseen forces, moving at the command of the Almighty, are ensuring that every harm inflicted, every lie told, and every scheme devised is met with the full weight of divine justice. This is not chaos, it is justice on a divine scale. Galatians 6:7 reminds us, "Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." Your enemies sowed deceit and destruction, and now they are reaping the bitter harvest of their actions. No earthly force can shield them from the consequences of their choices. And for you, beloved chosen one, this is a time of vindication and empowerment. God's unseen forces are working tirelessly on your behalf, reversing every attack, exposing every lie, and dismantling every plan meant to harm you. Can you feel the shift in the atmosphere as the forces of heaven move to secure your protection and victory? The unseen is becoming visible. The forces of heaven are ensuring that no harm goes unaccounted for and that every obstacle placed in your path is removed. You are witnessing divine strategy at its finest, justice carried out with precision, purpose, and power. Stand firm in your calling, for this is the season where the unseen moves in your favor and your victory is secured by the divine hand. Number 7. Divine justice is public, not private. Beloved chosen one, the time has come when the truth you've held on to in faith is no longer hidden. It is being declared openly for all to see. Divine justice does not work in secret or behind closed doors. It unfolds in the light, undeniable and impossible to ignore. Your enemies, who once acted with arrogance as though their actions were invisible, are now facing a judgment that is displayed for all to witness. The sickness afflicting them is not subtle or hidden. It is a glaring and undeniable mark of their defiance against the divine. This moment, chosen one, is your vindication. The suffering you endured in silence is now being acknowledged openly. Think of King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel 4, whose pride led to his public humiliation before his entire kingdom. His fall was a spectacle, a lesson to all who witnessed it. In the same way, your enemies are now facing the consequences of their arrogance, and their downfall is a testimony to the justice of God. Does it strengthen your faith to see how clearly and openly God's hand is at work, leaving no room for denial? What makes this judgment so profound is its sheer visibility. Even those who once remained indifferent, who turned a blind eye to the injustice inflicted upon you, are now forced to confront the truth. No one can claim ignorance anymore. This isn't just a punishment for your enemies, it is a lesson for everyone watching. Consider Pharaoh in Exodus 14, whose defeat at the Red Sea not only freed the Israelites, but also demonstrated God's power to all of Egypt. Similarly, the judgment unfolding now is forcing even the doubters to acknowledge the sovereignty of the divine. There is no escaping it. It's happening right before everyone's eyes. Those who once doubted your calling or dismissed your faith are now witnessing what cannot be denied. Do you feel the shift, as even those who doubted are beginning to see the truth? This public display of justice does more than shame your enemies. It forces a reckoning for those who once stood by in silence. The sickness that grips your enemies, the unraveling of their power and influence, is not just a consequence. It is a wake-up call for all who observe it. Watching these consequences unfold, seeing the sins of your enemies manifest into undeniable suffering, is a sobering moment. This is the fulfillment of Proverbs 16:18. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. The arrogance that once fueled their actions has led them here, and now their defiance is being met with a response that the world cannot ignore. Can you sense the magnitude of this moment as people are confronted with the reality of divine justice? But this isn't only about the enemies, it's also about those who stood by, complicit, complacent, or unaware. Just as Jonah's message to Nineveh in Jonah 3 led an entire city to repentance after seeing the warning signs. This public reckoning is a call for reflection and change. For those watching, it's a reminder that divine justice spares no one who turns a blind eye or ignores the signs. Beloved chosen one, this is your moment of vindication. The trials you endured, the injustices you faced, and the suffering you withstood are now being acknowledged by all. God's justice is not only precise, it is public. His sovereignty is on display for the world to see, ensuring that the truth is undeniable. Do you feel the power of this moment, knowing that the justice unfolding now affirms not only your faith, but also your calling? As the world watches, let this be your reminder. Divine justice is always visible, always true, and it never fails to fulfill its purpose. This is your vindication, and it is happening in full view. Walk boldly, knowing that the justice unfolding before your eyes is proof of the power, faithfulness, and sovereignty of the God who chose you. Number 8. The balance of power has shifted. Beloved, chosen one, the moment you have sensed deep within your spirit has finally arrived. The scales of power have tipped, overturning the dominance of those who sought to oppress you. Those who once ruled with arrogance, manipulating and controlling without regard for justice, now find themselves powerless. They believed their influence to be eternal, but it was always temporary, a fragile illusion now shattered by divine justice. And here you are, standing where you were always meant to be. You, who were mocked, ignored, and misunderstood, have been lifted to a position of authority you never sought but were destined to inherit. How does it feel to step into this calling, knowing that God's hand has been guiding you all along? Consider Joseph in Genesis 41:41. Betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned unjustly, yet ultimately elevated to rule over all of Egypt. Like Joseph, you're now stepping into a place of prominence, not by human effort, but by God's design. But this isn't just about worldly authority. You've been granted something far greater, spiritual authority. Can you sense the immense power God has placed within you, the ability to align your prayers with His will to bless or bring justice? Like Elijah in 1 Kings 17:1, who commanded the heavens to withhold rain, your words now carry the weight of divine power. You're no longer a victim of circumstances. You're a vessel of God's will, a conduit of His judgment and mercy. Look at your enemies now. Those who once sought to harm you are helpless. Their tools of manipulation and control, which they wielded so confidently, have been rendered useless. Have you noticed how the structures they relied on are crumbling, just as the walls of Jericho fell in Joshua 6? Their wealth, influence, and alliances are failing, leaving them exposed and vulnerable before the authority God has given you. What's even more extraordinary is that you no longer need to fight for survival. The battle is no longer yours to wage. Do you feel the peace that comes from trusting God to fight on your behalf? Remember the promise in Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Now is your time to align with God's purpose and watch as He brings everything into order. Your role is not to strive, but to trust, not to struggle, but to stand firm in His promises. Even your enemies are starting to recognize the truth. Like Joseph's brothers in Genesis 50:20, who fell before the very man they sought to destroy, your adversaries now find themselves at your mercy. But this isn't about vengeance. It's about revealing the power of God's justice. You've been placed in a position to extend mercy or step aside and let judgment unfold. How does it feel to know that your faithfulness has brought you to this pivotal moment where even your enemies acknowledge the power of God in your life? This is more than a reversal of roles. It's a fulfillment of Luke 1:52. He has brought down rulers from their thrones, but has lifted up the humble. You are living proof of God's faithfulness, a testimony to His promises and justice. Are you ready to embrace this season, standing boldly in the authority God has given you to fulfill the purpose for which you were called? The balance of power has shifted, and everything is now in its rightful place. This is your moment, chosen one. Step into it boldly, knowing that heaven itself stands behind you. Number 9, the enemy's inner voices betray them. Beloved chosen one, the most devastating aspect of your enemy's downfall is not what is visible to the eye, but what is happening deep within their minds. The physical sickness and public judgment are only part of the story. The true unraveling lies in the torment of their inner voices, which have now become their greatest betrayers. For so long, they relied on their minds as tools of control and manipulation. Their thoughts were sharp, their schemes deliberate, and their arrogance fueled their sense of superiority. But now, those same minds are turning against them. Have you considered how divine judgment reaches into the very core of a person, dismantling them from within? Their once confident thoughts now spiral into chaos, filled with fear, regret, and self-loathing. This is the true nature of divine judgment. It's not just physical, it's psychological and spiritual. Consider King Saul in 1 Samuel 16:14, who was tormented by an evil spirit after he disobeyed God. His once proud mind became a battlefield of torment, consumed by paranoia and despair. Similarly, your enemies are now trapped in a mental prison of their own making. The sickness has invaded not only their bodies, but their thoughts, magnifying their worst fears and forcing them to confront the darkness of their actions. Can you see how their arrogance, once their strength, has now become their undoing? Every moment is filled with torment. The same inner voices that once justified their cruelty now magnify their guilt. Their minds replay their sins relentlessly, forcing them to confront every act of deceit and harm. Like Judas in Matthew 27:3-5, who was consumed by remorse after betraying Jesus, they are now haunted by their choices. The weight of their actions is unbearable, and the sickness intensifies their suffering, leaving them with no escape. What makes this judgment so unrelenting is that it's not just external, it's deeply internal. Can you imagine the despair of being trapped in a mind that refuses to offer relief? They cannot escape themselves. The arrogance that once fueled them now turns into endless loops of fear and regret. Every thought is a reminder of the pain they inflicted, and every moment deepens their anguish. This is the justice of God, precise, undeniable, and inescapable. As Galatians 6:7 reminds us, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Their own minds, which they once used to oppress and manipulate, now deliver the judgment they thought they could evade. Their inner voices have become their most unforgiving tormentors, amplifying their suffering in ways no worldly power can alleviate. Chosen one, as you witness this, reflect on the depth of divine justice. Does this not strengthen your faith, knowing that no act of harm goes unanswered and no arrogance remains unchecked? Your enemies thought they could control everything, but they never accounted for the power of their own conscience. The sickness doesn't just break their bodies, it breaks their spirits, and there is no escape from the judgment unfolding within them. Number 10. Not everyone will survive. Beloved chosen. 1. The reality of divine justice is sobering. Some of your enemies will not survive this reckoning. God's patience, long extended as an opportunity for repentance, has expired. What follows is not a temporary trial or a chance for reform. It is an irreversible sentence. For those who believe they could defy the Almighty without consequence, this is the moment they must face the unyielding truth. Some outcomes cannot be undone. Consider the words of Proverbs 29:1. Whoever remains stiff-necked after many rebukes will suddenly be destroyed, without remedy. Your enemies have reached this point. Their rebellion has crossed a line where mercy no longer offers reprieve. This isn't a process designed to test or prolong judgment. It is the moment when the consequences of their choices come crashing down with finality. Do you sense the weight of this moment as judgment moves beyond warnings into fulfillment? Those who have spent years sowing discord, cruelty and corruption are now staring into the abyss they created. Like Pharaoh in Exodus 14:28, who pursued the Israelites into the parted sea only to be overtaken by its waters, some of your enemies will not emerge from the consequences of their actions. This is not the result of chance, but the inevitable fulfillment of a divine plan that has no room for endless delays. This is no longer a matter of sympathy or mercy. Do you see how the choices of your enemies have written their own sentence? For those who believed their manipulation, deceit, or power could shield them, the truth is now undeniable. Some actions have consequences so far-reaching that no amount of regret or pleading can reverse them. Just as Judas in Matthew 27:5 faced the tragic end of his betrayal, some enemies now face the finality of their rebellion. The suffering, the sickness, and the exposure they endure are not tests. They are the culmination of their defiance. The door to mercy has closed, and they must now confront the full weight of what they have wrought. Does this moment remind you of the gravity of divine justice and the importance of aligning with God's will? For you, chosen one, this is a reminder of the power of God's justice. As hard as it may be to witness, this reckoning is not about cruelty. It is about the unshakable truth that every action has a consequence. The enemies who once mocked and oppressed you are now experiencing the full force of that truth. While they fall under the weight of their choices, you are being lifted into your rightful place. The sentence has been issued, and for some, there is no surviving it. Let this moment strengthen your faith, knowing that divine justice always prevails. Number 11. The chosen one are elevated in the process. Chosen one, your season of elevation has arrived, and it is nothing short of divine fulfillment. As your enemies fall under the weight of their judgment, you are rising, elevated not only in spirit, but also in position, power, and divine authority. Every trial, every betrayal, and every act of persecution you endured has been transformed into the foundation of your rise. Can you feel the weight of this moment, knowing that everything you endured was not for nothing, but was preparing you for this destiny? Your faithfulness has been rewarded. The trials that once seemed insurmountable were not just hardships, they were tools of refinement. strengthening you for the role you are now stepping into. Consider Joseph in Genesis 41:41, who was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for years, yet ultimately elevated to rule over Egypt. Like Joseph, you have emerged from the shadows of suffering into the light of God's promise. Your perseverance has positioned you for a reward so undeniable that it cannot be ignored. The same people who once sought to destroy you are now powerless to stop your rise. Have you noticed how those who mocked and oppressed you are now silent, forced to watch as you ascend? What makes your elevation extraordinary is its visibility. This isn't just a private victory, it is a public declaration of God's faithfulness to His chosen. As Psalm 23:5 proclaims, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows." Your rise is happening in full view of those who doubted you, and they are unable to deny the divine hand behind your success. But this is not just about vindication, it is about purpose. You are being elevated not merely for recognition, but for transformation. You are stepping into roles of leadership, influence, and authority, equipped to reshape the very systems that once sought to oppress you. Consider Esther in Esther 4:14, who rose from obscurity to save her people. She did not seek power, but God placed her in a position for such a time as this. Like Esther, your elevation is a divine assignment, and you now hold the authority to create change that aligns with God's will. This authority extends beyond the physical. It is spiritual. Do you sense the gravity of the role you have been given, knowing that your prayers and decisions now carry the weight of divine power? You are no longer a passive observer. You are a vessel of God's purpose, empowered to lead with wisdom, grace, and spiritual discernment. This elevation isn't about personal gain. It is about fulfilling the divine calling placed on your life. Your enemies thought they could break you, but their actions have only refined you. Every betrayal, every hardship, and every attack has sharpened your character and prepared you for this moment. Like Daniel in Daniel 6, who was thrown into the lion's den for his faith, yet emerged unscathed and honored by a king. You have survived what was meant to destroy you, and now the world is watching as you thrive, living proof of God's faithfulness. This is more than just a shift in position. It is the fulfillment of Luke 1:52. He has brought down rulers from their thrones, but has lifted up the humble. You are stepping into your rightful place, crowned with honor, authority, and purpose. How does it feel to finally walk in the role God prepared for you, knowing that heaven has paved the way? My beloved friend, this moment is yours. The trials are behind you, and the elevation is here. You are not just surviving, you are thriving, standing in the authority God has granted you to fulfill His plan. The world is witnessing your rise, and it is a testament to the power of faith, perseverance, and divine justice. Are you ready to embrace this calling, to walk boldly in the light of your purpose, and to lead with the confidence of one who knows they are chosen? The time is now. Step forward, for this is the season of your elevation. Number 12. The sickness exposes hidden alliances. Chosen one, the sickness that has overtaken your enemies is more than just a physical affliction. It is a divine instrument revealing the webs of deceit and corruption that were hidden in darkness. As it spreads, it acts like a floodlight, exposing not only the perpetrators, but also those who operated in the shadows, the silent partners, the enablers, and the opportunists who benefited from the harm inflicted upon you. Have you noticed how the sickness doesn't stop at the surface but reaches deep into the hidden networks of injustice? Like a magnifying glass, it brings every hidden alliance into sharp focus. Those who thought they could remain unseen are now being dragged into the light, their complicity laid bare for all to see. just as Ephesians 5:13 declares, "But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light." This sickness exposes every corner of deceit, revealing the full scope of their wrongdoing. The judgment is not limited to the primary offenders. Those who stood by silently, turned a blind eye, or quietly profited from injustice are now being held accountable. Does it strengthen your faith to see that no accomplice, no matter how small their role, can escape divine justice? Like the conspirators who plotted against Daniel in Daniel 6:24, who were themselves thrown into the lion's den, the enablers of harm are now facing the same fate as those they supported. The sickness reveals that their alliances were never as secure as they believed. The silent partners, the quiet collaborators, and the hidden beneficiaries are being exposed. Their denials hold no weight, and their attempts to distance themselves from the primary offenders are futile. Do you sense the completeness of this reckoning, as even those in the shadows are brought to justice? Just as Haman in Esther 7:10 faced the gallows he built for Mordecai, the enablers of harm are now entangled in the same consequences as those they aided. This sickness doesn't discriminate. It infects and exposes everyone complicit in the injustice, unraveling networks of corruption that were thought to be impenetrable. The alliances your enemies believed were their strength are now crumbling, leaving no accomplice untouched. Like Judas in Matthew 27:4, who admitted his betrayal too late to escape the consequences, those who benefited from their actions now face the reality of their choices. Have you considered how this exposure reveals the depth of God's justice, ensuring that every hidden deed is accounted for? No matter how small their role, every accomplice is being forced to confront the truth. The sickness has revealed what was hidden, and there is no going back. This is the reckoning they cannot escape, the moment when every secret is brought to light and every silent hand of complicity is held accountable. For you, chosen one, this is a moment of vindication. The very networks that sought to harm you are being dismantled, their secrets revealed for all to see. Does it bring you peace to know that God's justice is complete, reaching every corner of deceit and ensuring no injustice is overlooked? The sickness isn't just judgment, it's a cleansing, a divine unveiling that ensures every accomplice is seen and every hidden alliance is broken. This is the truth of God's justice. Nothing remains hidden, and no wrong goes unanswered. Number 13. Redemption is still possible, but at a cost. Chosen one, even in the midst of this reckoning, a glimmer of redemption remains for those who dare to seek it. But let there be no mistake. This is no easy path, no free pass to escape the consequences of their actions. Redemption demands more than words. It calls for a complete surrender, an unflinching confrontation of their sins, and an unwavering commitment to make amends. Do you see how this process separates the truly repentant from those who only seek to avoid judgment? For those few who find the courage to walk this road, it is not a journey of comfort. Consider Zacchaeus in Luke 19:8-9, who, upon encountering Jesus, vowed to repay fourfold all he had taken unjustly and to give half his wealth to the poor. Redemption requires such radical action, an acknowledgement of the harm caused and a willingness to undo it, no matter the cost. The road to healing is long and humbling, filled with pain and struggle. There are no shortcuts, no way to erase the scars of the past overnight. To seek redemption, the enemies must confront the destruction they have wrought, not just in the lives of others, but within themselves. Have you ever seen someone stripped of pride, brought low by their own choices, and then begin to rebuild? This is the essence of true repentance. Like King Manasseh in 2 Chronicles 33, who humbled himself greatly before God after a lifetime of rebellion, they must cast aside their ego and accept the consequences of their actions. This path is not one of personal gain or glory. It is a road of humility, where they must be willing to sacrifice everything they once held dear: their pride, their power, and their status. Redemption means facing the depth of their failures and beginning the painstaking work of restitution. Can you imagine the strength it takes to rebuild what was broken, starting with one's own soul? For those who genuinely commit to this process, restoration is possible, but it is neither immediate nor easy. The chosen one, on the other hand, stand in the light of victory, not by vengeance, but by divine justice. You have endured the trials, stayed obedient, and trusted in God's timing. Now, as your enemies unravel and the consequences of their defiance are laid bare, you stand firm, knowing your elevation is by divine design. Do you feel the power of this moment, as the perseverance you've shown becomes a testimony to God's faithfulness? The sickness that has afflicted your enemies is not merely physical. It is the outward manifestation of their inner corruption and their defiance of divine will. Like Pharaoh in Exodus 9:12, whose heart hardened despite numerous opportunities for repentance, your enemies squandered the grace extended to them. This reckoning is the culmination of their arrogance, their refusal to heed warnings, and their belief that they could escape accountability. Even as they face the unraveling of their power, their torment is not only external, but deeply internal. Their minds betray them, their alliances crumble, and the networks they once trusted fall apart. Yet, for a few, redemption remains a possibility. Do you see how even judgment is laced with an opportunity for grace? For those willing to fully surrender, to repent without reservation, and to take on the painful process of healing, there is still hope for restoration. But redemption comes at a steep price. Complete humility, honest acknowledgement of their actions, and a commitment to restitution. Like the prodigal son in Luke 15:20, who returned to his father in brokenness, they must come back with nothing but a contrite heart. Only then can they begin the slow journey towards spiritual restoration, rebuilding from the ashes of their past. Ultimately, this is more than a story of judgment. It is a testament to the unyielding truth of divine justice. It is relentless in holding all accountable, but it is also redemptive for those willing to embrace its demands. Do you now see how justice and mercy coexist, how every choice leads to either reckoning or restoration? In the end, no one escapes the truth. Whether through redemption or reckoning, all must face the consequences of their actions. For you, beloved chosen one, this is a moment of triumph and vindication. Your enemies stand as a warning to those who believe they can defy divine will, while you stand as living proof of the power of faith and perseverance. The balance of divine justice has been restored, and the world will never be the same. Are you ready to embrace your rightful place in this new order, knowing that your elevation is part of God's eternal plan? Beloved chosen ones, as we reach the end of this profound message, I want to take a moment to reflect on the journey we've shared. Each step of this path has revealed the truth of divine justice, the power of perseverance, and the unshakable promises of God. Your presence here is no coincidence. You are here because you are part of something far greater than what the eye can see. Thank you for walking this journey with me, for opening your heart to these truths, and for standing as a living testament to faith, resilience, and purpose. This message isn't just words. It's a call to action, a reminder of who you are, and a declaration of the times we are in. If this message resonated with you, don't let it stop here. Make sure you subscribe to stay connected and receive more powerful insights that will continue to guide you in your calling. Hit the like button if you feel the shift we've discussed today, as a sign of your alignment with the truths of divine justice and awakening. And most importantly, share your voice in the comments below. How are you feeling about the divine reckoning unfolding before our eyes? What part of this message spoke most deeply to you? Your thoughts matter, and your perspective can inspire others who may be on the same journey. To those who have supported this platform through super thanks or donations, my heartfelt gratitude goes out to you. Your contributions make it possible to keep creating and sharing these messages of hope, truth, and encouragement. But let me be clear, whether you choose to donate or not, your presence here is already a blessing. Your engagement, your faith, and your willingness to be part of this movement are gifts I do not take lightly. Thank you for being here, for standing with us, and for allowing these messages to resonate in your life. As we move forward, I encourage you to share this message with someone who may need to hear it. We all know someone who is struggling, someone who needs clarity, someone who feels lost in the chaos of this reckoning. Can you imagine the impact you could have by sharing this truth with them? The time for awakening is now, and we are called to be the light in a world desperate for guidance. Together, we are stronger, and together, we rise. I want to remind you, dear chosen ones, that you are not alone. Every trial you've faced, every tear you've cried, and every prayer you've whispered has brought you to this moment. The trials of the past have not been wasted. They've prepared you for the elevation and authority you now step into. This is your season to rise, to walk boldly in your purpose, and to stand firm in the truth that you were chosen for such a time as this. As we close, I pray that God's blessings overflow in your life. May He grant you strength in your journey, clarity in your decisions, and peace in your spirit. May His justice continue to protect and elevate you, and may His mercy guide you as you walk in the authority He has placed upon you. Never doubt your calling. You are chosen, loved, and guided by a power far greater than anything this world can offer. Stay faithful, stay vigilant, and stay blessed. If this message has inspired you, I invite you to join the movement of awakening. Together, let's continue to grow, to rise, and to fulfill the divine purpose we've been called to. Thank you for being part of this journey. You are a light in this world, and your presence here matters deeply. Let's walk forward together, confident in the knowledge that we are chosen, we are protected, and we are called to make a difference. God bless you abundantly, chosen ones. Let's rise.